I asked AI what was the big shift from the 6th to the 7th, and I thought the answer was very, very distinct, and it said no process groups, no knowledge area, no inputs, tools, techniques, the ITO principle, no process counts, which I thought was structural abandonment. This is the wording of AI.
Whoa.
Yeah. Full removal of process-centric framework used in the editions 1 through 6. And then it picks up principle-driven guidance, value orientation, and full approach neutrality, which is a euphemism for, hey, we endorse all methodologies. We're not specific. We don't tell you which way of working you use, right? I want to get your take on this. You mentioned that I think there's a kind of an evolution in learning the PMBOK guide, right? Or becoming a PMP.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to become a PMP, and they said, teach me the systematic approach. What's step number 1, step number... And that used to, by the way, those the questions I hated the most on the PMP exam, also when I trained people to become PMP, were the process questions. You know, because I would read the question, I said, depending on the context, this could come first or that could come first. And who cares what comes first? You know, it's the old question, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I want an omelet. I don't care what comes first. Okay, I want to make sure that I have a nice omelet. So I think a lot of people use the systematic approach, but a hidden word I think that's still also going to grow and needs to evolve is the concept of system, or systemic, which is much broader than systematic. Systematic means kind of, analog, checklists, step 1, step 2. And systematic says, listen, your process is, not that we don't care about your process is value in creating efficiency, but it's people who do those processes. It's the human factor. And I think you kind of alluded to this, that people who do the PMP exam and then find out, hey, now I'm PMP and my projects are still difficult, right? It's the human factor, and I think what the last 2 PMBOKs have done really dramatically, if that's one of the things I could highlight in a positive sense, is they said actually it's the principles that are the overriding thing. And I used to tell people when people studied for the PMP exam, I said, listen, you need to be familiar with the processes and you need to understand the vocabulary. But the greatest value in all of these other books were always in between the lines. And what used to be called foundational concepts are now called principles. I don't have any problem with that rewording. What's your take on that? Would you concur with that? Is that where you think the last two versions went?
I would say yes, and a bit. To me, what you said, what was between the lines, to me, it had always been there. It depends a bit on the perspective that you want to take as a person who gets involved in that. I hear people who said former PMBOKs were prescriptive. I never had the impression that anything was prescriptive because I always read also between the lines. To me, I don't know how many times the word tailoring is mentioned. As soon as I hear that word, to me it speaks a lot. Yeah. I think it depends maybe a bit on the type of person, to which extent you are an abstract thinker as well as an associative thinker, or to which extent you prefer a certain way of following a prescribed process.
In English, in academic learning, we talk about rote memory, which is memorization. I read it and memorize it, which is often in gymnasium, in European and Japanese education system at a lower level. That's kind of, you have to memorize it. Nobody cares what your opinion is. But the highest form of learning is actually cognitive, what you call associative, right? Is, can we read this and does it resonate with you? And can I have a different opinion but still align myself? Can I still find myself in the overall structure, right?
And I think that's also the expectation of a professional, even when you are new to the whole environment, that you have a brain, you have cognitive competency.
You're not supposed to turn your brain off.
Correct, yeah. So, you don't do what's written there, A link to my theology study, for instance, you can read the Bible and you can understand the Bible. Yeah, and those two things are,
same,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm fully with you, Daniel, on that one. But I think it takes a certain experience, sometimes a certain culture to read between the lines. And there are as well cultures, and I'm talking not just about geographic culture, but as well industry cultures or company cultures where reading between the lines is more used or less. And a lot of people have not read between the lines. And I think these books, the older versions, come as well a little bit out of the mindset iron triangle, a more mechanistic and more managerial approach to think, or administrative approach to think. The switch with the 7th, 8th edition is to move a little bit away from this administrative, managerial approach to the leadership concept, expecting more. Yes, shameless drop of the concept that as well PMI is pushing, but which I'm extremely supportive of, that the expectation or that you just have to deliver the scope and in on time, in budget, and then you're the great project manager, that life is not that simple anymore. And then so the principles come to the forefront, the system of value delivery. So I really support that one, because that was quite often forgotten. And I still, when I teach project management, I still sometimes find this. Hey, I've delivered the iron triangle. What else do you want from me? And the answer is PMI's answer, but as well my answer is more. We want value at the end of the day. And yes, the concept of value was in the previous editions, but as you said, between the lines, and you have to look between the lines. And PMI, basically as well with the PM, made this explicit. I think that is a good move.